It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels. Hello, good evening. How is everybody doing tonight? Ghetto Gunfighter first tonight. Jeffrey, hello, we are just getting started. Jim, I would like to be getting finished though. I mean, I'm doing edge highlighting of Death Company. Ugh. But my least favourite paint jobbing... Paint jobbing? That doesn't sound right. It's like my least favourite painting thing to do. Edge highlight black models. But, hey, it'll be worth it in the long run. How's everybody doing? I got today a box of new third-party 3D printed bits. I have literally so many bits now, it's getting crazy. Hello Marius. So I got this box from Archie's Forge, right? Which inside it has some very exciting Blood Angels parts. Archie's Forge. But what's really funny is, so I bought, the same as you guys, only games. Like the Crimson Lord bits. But my first set of Crimson Lord bits were not very good. So I emailed their customer support. So they replaced my order. But the first order they replaced was only half my original order. So I emailed them back and said, hey, you replaced the order, we only replaced half of it. So then they sent me the second half, so I had my entire order replaced. And then today I got another box for them, which seems to be like half of the order again. So I actually emailed their customer service and was like, I think now at this point, what was wrong with the quality wise? The first set of jump packs weren't the greatest. They had like lots of little like broken off sprue bits on them. They looked the same as the ones that were on Reddit. They just weren't great quality. So now I've had my original order back, but now I've got a whole other box. Like this box is like another £50 worth of 3D stuff. So if they don't want me to send it, but I'm not going to send it back for nothing. So if they want it, they'll have to send me like a self-addressed posted page envelope. I'm not paying to send it back to them. But if they don't want it back, then I'm going to add this to the raffle prizes. So then we're getting to a point where because most of the Archie's Forge stuff that came today, a bunch of it was going to be raffle prizes as well. But check the jetpacks from Archie's Forge. These things look pretty sweet quality, right? These might be the best Crimson Lord pieces that I've seen yet. I mean, maybe I need like a tiny little bit of sanding there. But they seem, these Archie's Forge pieces seem pretty sweet. And I got loads of stuff from Archie's Forge. I reached out to them to tell them, would you work with me? And they said yes. And then I started talking to them about the next charity raffle. So they sent me like more stuff than, like, there's loads. Look at all that. Look at it. I don't even know what this, I guess this is a Dreadnought conversion pieces. But I've got 3D parts coming out of my ears now. So I'm gonna honestly, oh, and they do like Sangreguard wings. No, not Sangreguard wings, Sangreguard shoulder pads. Which I was really happy about, because obviously we don't get those anymore. So I'll do a whole video breaking that down. I'll do a video breaking down only game stuff. I've actually filmed a bunch of it, I just haven't edited it. So, and I'll find out if Only Games want this thing back, and if they don't, then I've got a fuckload of raffle prizes. So we might actually end up doing like 2 raffles. I don't know what we're gonna do. But there's gonna be so many, like... My concern is if there's like 10 or 15 raffle prizes and I have to send them all over the entire world, that's gonna get expensive. So I'll figure it out. I'll figure out what I'm gonna do. It's a pity there isn't any way to like have the raffle, you know, like have a percentage of it go to postage, but yeah, it's just annoying. I will sell raffle tickets 100%. We did a raffle in February last year and we raised like, it would be like the equivalent of like $1,500 for a children's charity. So I think this time round I've been honestly looking at USA charities. What was wrong? The first batch of Only Games prints I got weren't great, but they've sent me 3 replacement batches. I didn't need 3 replacement batches. I think something's got fucked up somewhere where they've sent me way too much of my order now. But the replacements have all been fine. It was just that very first batch. And honestly, I wasn't even expecting them to replace the entire order. I was expecting them just to replace a couple of the high quality parts, but they just replaced. There's like no questions asked. They're like, yeah, we'll just replace the entire thing. And now they've replaced the entire thing 1.5 times over. So I'm a bit confused why another box appeared today. So I did the decent thing and emailed customer service because it's like 50 quid worth of parts. You know, ask them like what they want done with them. Who knows? Hello Mike, good evening. I have seen on Reddit that some people do not rate Only Games, yeah. But the Archie's Forge parts look really, really good. So I'll do a video on both. And I think Archie's Forge have really good customer service as well. Brian says you regret buying, building your new Sangreguard. Here's the thing, Brian, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to build more Sangreguard, right? I feel like inevitably you're going to eventually want 18 of them or something like that, right? Yeah, I think you're right, Jim. People wouldn't be mad if we used some of the money for shipping, but I don't know how to do that. Like, we'll figure it out. But if I've got like... Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got way more prizes than I thought I would ever have. I was hoping to have like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 prizes this time round. I'm probably in the region of like, I could possibly have 10 prizes in this next raffle. And John, maybe we just make the prizes bigger. So we just do like 5 prizes, but every prize is like 50 quid's worth of 3D of Crimson Lord stuff. That might be a way to do it, and then I only have to pay shipping 5 times. I don't mind taking the hit on shipping myself, like maybe like 5 times, but taking it like 10 or 15 times if I've got to post stuff all around the world is pretty crazy. And 3D printed stuff is pretty light. That's the bonus of shipping it, right? Like, there's literally no weight to some of these 3D printed parts. The prize is a Grey Mountain of bits, yeah. So we do like 5 prizes that are Grey Mountains of bits. How cool is that? Hello, Kane. UK people might want to know there's a scammer going around. Some guy posted in the Facebook group trying to sell me stuff. I did message him and he blocked me when I said no to bank transfer. Dude, if you can report that, if you can report the post, or if you can report him in the Facebook group, we'll get him banned. Yeah, I generally don't do private sales. Like, if someone wants to sell something, I always kind of just say, like, just put it on eBay. Because then, I know eBay take a cut, but it's minor. Like, I sold Blood Bowl last week on eBay. I think I sold it for 45 bucks. And I want to say I got like 42.50 or something. So they take like 2 or 3%. Brian, thanks so much for the 10
Ryan
for the shipping.
Evans donated $10 via super chat for shipping.
Yeah, we're gonna make this next charity raffle. I think the last one we only had 2 prizes, so we're gonna absolutely smash that apart. And yeah, I think we're gonna pick a US based charity this time. The last one was a UK children's hospital. It was in fact the children's hospital charity where my son was born. I'd like to do them again in the future, but I think I'm going to pick a US... I've been looking at a couple of US based charities, and I know that like most of my... well, not most of my audience, it's like 30% of the BAC audience is from the USA. So I think it'd be cool to do a USA charity. And if I'm doing one, it'll be a non-profit, and it won't be some giant corporate charity, because I don't trust giant corporate charities. I'd much rather do like a small, like, family charity. So we'll find one, we'll do it. Horus the Scammer, yeah. Sorry, Alfred says, hey, lore-wise, how would you paint Death Company units for the Charnel Guard chapter? Oh, that's a question for Discord, man. I am not familiar with Charnel Guard. How much do you think one of us would pay for a BA Commander painted model in a raffle? I don't know. The way that the raffle works is you can choose the prizes. So like, I guess it'll be like 5 different prizes of 3D printed bits or bobs, and then you can just choose the price of a ticket. So like, it's like $1. Last time we did it, I think it was $1 a ticket. And we just, you know, like, it'd just be open for a month. There's no limit. So like, if you want to buy 10 tickets, you can buy 10 tickets. If you want to buy 100 tickets, you could buy 100 tickets. I don't expect anyone to buy 100 tickets, but you could. And then at the end of the raffle, the website just picks who wins, sort of deal. It's good. It's good. It's something that I never really thought that I would be able to do, but the last one went really well. So Mike could offer his services in a raffle. I mean, if you want to get in on it, Mike, I mean, you know, more prizes is merrier, essentially. It's just, I mean, let me figure out how many prizes we actually have this time round, and then if it's something you would want to do, Mike, like commit to painting a model for a raffle winner, that's something we could definitely do, and that's probably something that would get, I mean, that would probably sell tickets, right? Antonius, good afternoon. Petra says, is it weird to miss old style jump packs and armor designs? I know the new models are bigger, but I look at the old Death Company and they're so cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be running out to replace all my old models with the new ones too quickly. I mean, I'm going to replace them eventually, but I imagine for the next year or something, my squads will be like hybrids. You know, like half the squad will be the old models, half the squad will be the new models, because I don't know, I very much like the old models. There's something nostalgic about them. It's what we all grew up with. It's funny how small some of those new models are, though. Sorry, the old models are compared to the new ones, right? Because I haven't painted Death Company in ages. literally ages. So I pulled out an old Death Company model to remind myself how I paint them. I mean, this guy was painted a long time ago, but I mean, this guy barely even gets up to the guy's waist. I mean, he's got a bigger tactical rock, but the height difference is pretty crazy. The old jump packs are really nice. Well, Mike, you're based in England, so this next raffle was going to be an American charity. Maybe you can help me pick the charity we do, like, for the third raffle. If we do another one the year after, and then we'll do an English charity. So we've done Scottish, we'll have done US, and then we'll do England, and then I wouldn't say we've covered all the bases. That's what I was going to say, but I would say that we've covered like a decent. I imagine, because I speak English, a good portion of my audience is like US, English, Scottish is probably a small, because there's actually not that many people in Scotland. Like, Scotland is smaller. I was looking at some of the vote numbers recently because of like the American elections, and like some of the states in America are bigger than Scotland. Like, Florida has 10 million people, Scotland has 5 million people. Florida is a state, we're an entire country, right? Do I go to tournaments with the old new mix? Yeah, I've been using old models in the tournaments now, Dale, for years. Because I'm the slowest, because I'm like really quite... Well, I'm not the slowest painter ever. My problem is that I'm always making YouTube content. So I make YouTube content, and because of that, my painting... My painting just gets neglected because I have to make the YouTube content. So yeah, I've been using models for years that are probably the wrong size. The tournament I was just at, I was still using assault marines as jump intercessors. No one really had a problem with it, you know. I think I had one squad of jump intercessors that were the Primaris size, and I had one squad of assault marines that were still... I speak English. I try to speak English. When people ask me if I speak English, I just say it's not my language, eh? Like, my language is Scottish, is it not? So I'm speaking a second language here, so I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, we have 6 million people in Scotland, we have 9 million people in London. Yeah. Scotland is very quiet. I think that's one of the reasons I like it so much, man. It's just quiet. I hate traffic. I think that's the problem as well, though. If you live in Scotland for too long, you get so used to it being so quiet, and then you go anywhere. Give us some Gaelic, then? No. I mean, I can give you some Scottish slang. I don't know if I can give you Gaelic. How you doing, Campbell? Have you finally got yourself? Have you finally managed to wean yourself off Reavers? Or are you still Team Reaver? Good evening, Sean. How you doing? Doric, I can do Doric. There you go. Don't forget about Canada. What is the population of Canada? Geo says, if I'm building Death Company Dreadnought, claws are the correct way. I believe they're called talons, but yes. I think you want the talons, because the talons give you the option of the sweeps and the strikes. And I think you want the option of the two different melee profiles, because I think that is potentially what makes the Death Company Dreadnoughts. Like, I think you want the options, I guess, that's what I'm trying to say. Fudge. Canada's 100... You mean 150 million, you don't mean 150. What's a baffy? I don't know if I know what a baffy is. I think as I've got older, like I feel like a good number of those Scottish languages are going to be lost. Because my mum and her mum spoke a lot of Doric. But like, it's not really something that I've ever... I mean, if they speak to me in Doric, I can probably understand it. To a degree, I guess. I don't know if Doric's... I don't know if it's going to be going away. For anyone that doesn't know what Doric is, it's like a dialogue of Scots. And the one thing about Scots English is they just abbreviate everything like horrifically. It can be very difficult to old school Scots. I don't know what a baffy is. I'm trying to think of a phrase that someone might say to me in Doric. I should know one because my mum used to speak to me all the time in Doric. Is it a kind of pastry or a bun? Maybe? Based on the recent alleged rules update targeting the Death Company Dreadnought, you think there will be any additional updates for Blood Angels on the December rule changes? I believe what the Death Company Dreadnought rule change you're referring to is the fact that they're going to be able to end their driven by fury move with an engagement range. That's what you think? I mean, I guess that helps it, but honestly, I don't know if it changes too much with the Death Company Dreadnought, because for me, the problem with the Death Company Dreadnought is more like any savvy opponent is not going to shoot at it. It's the same as like, I don't know if you guys have played many World Eaters, or played against World Eaters is probably a better way of saying it. It's like, if you're playing against World Eaters and you know their berserkers are going to move closer to you and potentially end in combat if you shoot them with a close range unit, do you shoot them with a close range unit? The answer is no. Usually if you end up shooting the berserkers in close range, they end up piling into you and then they fight you first because you didn't make a charge move and you're like, oh crap, I really shouldn't have shot those berserkers. So I kind of feel like the Death Company Dreadnought is in that same spot where like, once any savvy opponent plays against you and knows that the Death Company Dreadnought is going to move closer to you and potentially pile into you, if you shoot it, then they'll just be like, right, I better not shoot that Death Company Dreadnought because I don't want it to fight me in my turn and hit me first. And I think once that happens, you know, like maybe like everyone makes that mistake one time, right? Everybody shoots the Khorne berserkers one time and then they pile into them and then they kill a bunch of their units and you think, oh crap, I really shouldn't have shot those Khorne berserkers, right? So that happens one time, but then the very next game you're playing against Khorne berserkers, you just don't shoot them, right? And then their special rules pointless.
Peaches the Destroyer donated $5 via Super Chat. Would Assault Sense be worth it with my SW? Giving them sustained, lethal hits and possibly 6+++ FNP. Maybe them plus repulsor outflanking.
So, thanks so much, Peaches, for the $5. Assault Centurions are great. Don't get me wrong, like, if you're fighting monsters or vehicles, they're kind of one of the best units Space Marine have for damage output, right? Like, Strength 10, Twin Linked, Flat 3, Sustained 2 into monsters and vehicles. Like, they'll just destroy anything. The problem with them is that they move 4 inches. Giving the fuel, like having a fuel no pain on them helps a little bit. I mean, I generally find that, you know, it's just like a toughness 7 model with a 4-up save, a 2-up save, no invuln. The second they get focused by anything decent, they do die fairly quickly. I think potentially the point of it is that, like, our assault centurions a very, very good unit in terms of damage output. And the answer is yes, they're one of the best units in terms of damage output if you're trying to deal with monsters and vehicles for Space Marines. They don't get a huge lot of play because they're so slow. But if you can find ways to nullify their slowness or get around their slowness, I mean, the one thing that Blood Angels can do now with them is advance and charge. That helps. Gladius can advance and charge. That helps. I'm not really super familiar with how Space Wolves, but I mean, I guess like putting them on a Land Raider with an assault ramp, that could help as well, right? If you can deliver the Centurions, there's like nothing that, like, point for point, like 150 points of assault Centurions have a pretty good chance to kill like a toughness 13 knight in one round of combat. There's not many units that will do that for 150 points. Hello Frank, how you doing? Do you think GW will phase out assault Centurions? I kind of feel like everything that is firstborn is on the cutting table for 11th edition. Maybe some of it will not get cut, but I think if you're buying anything firstborn now, 18 months from 11th edition, you need to know that you're taking a risk buying it, I feel like. I think, like, I'm at the point where, like, I just don't buy firstborn anymore. I just buy the Primaris models. Like, I actually haven't checked in with Mike for a few weeks. Mike, how's my Gladiator Lancer doing? You're commissioning me my second Gladiator Lancer, right? Because I'm like, if you watch my streams, you'll know that I don't field Lancers. You'll know that I field Predator Destructors and Ballistus Dreadnoughts and Vindicator tanks. Like, I generally have not ever, I think one or two times maybe I've fielded a Gladiator Lancer, but I feel like in the future all those other options are going to be gone, and what the option is going to be is that Gladiator Lancer. So I already paid to get one commissioned. I paid for the second one to get commissioned as well. So it's just like, just because I think in the future the firstborn tanks are going bye-bye, and there's nothing we can do about that. BA Commander confirms 11th edition. I think that we're on a 3-year cycle for editions now. It will be, unless something massively changes, Marius, the 11th edition will be, like you said, summer 26, because the new editions, I think, they sell a fuckload of models, right? Like, they get a lot of new people into the game, they sell a lot of models. I think, personally, I would like to see an extra year, because I think it sucks if you're, like, you know, we're basically 18 months into this edition. How many armies do not have their codex? You know, like, I play against Chaos Knights, they don't have their codex. I play against Death Guard, they don't have their codex. Space Wolves don't have their codex, right? Like, what is the list of our, like, I actually don't know, but it would be really interesting. Maybe someone in chat knows. How many armies don't yet have their 10th edition codex? Because at this point we're halfway through the edition. So, like, if you're one of the like, at the end of 9th edition, the World Eaters got their codex like literally like 3 months before the edition ended. So you're going to pay, what, $30 for a book that's going to last 3 months? That's also a huge waste of paper. I'm sorry, I was talking to a friend the other, I guess because the American elections are going on at the moment, a lot of people are talking politics, and I was telling one of my friends I voted Green here in the UK a few years back. The reason I voted for the Green Party was because I want my kids to have a nice planet to live on. You know, some people might disagree that you need to vote Green or whatever. The way Scotland's elections work, for anyone that cares, is Scotland has proportional representation, which means if one party is dominating, and in the Scottish election there is a party that dominates, it means that it's harder for them to win more seats. So essentially, at some point, the party that dominates, votes mean less for that party. Which is kind of a cool system. It makes elections fair. It means everybody gets a voice. It also means one party can't run away with it. But I voted for Green because my vote, if I'd voted for the popular Scottish party, it was pointless, right? Because the vote was so watered down at that point. So I just was like, I said to my wife, well, we just vote Green, you know, like, because if we put like a Green politician in, is that the worst idea ever? You know, like someone that actually cares about the environment, cares about the planet, cares about the future. So we voted that. Who knows though, right? Like it's so... It's so difficult at the moment, I guess. But yeah, having a book come out with only 3 months left for an edition, as bad as it is for the players, it's also pretty fucking tragic for like you know, you've cut down a tree or whatever for a book that only lasts for like 90 days. I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, there's probably only a few thousand codex sold. It's probably not the worst thing in the world, but I mean, it still seems kind of wasteful if you ask me. So I think the edition should be 4 years between, because I think that would mean at the end of the edition, everybody would have a year, give or take, where they've had their codex, all the armies are balanced, and we can just have a year of like really competitive, really balanced play. So that's what I would like to see. But I think that the editions are basically a 3-year cycle, because like I said, it brings in a lot of people. There's probably a lot of money to be made on the new edition box sets. And I guess if everybody had their codex, then there would be no money on codex sales for a whole year. But hey, I'm allowed my opinion. My opinion is sometimes wrong. I actually had quite a lot of negative comments this week on the tier list video. Probably more negative comments than I usually get. So some people really disagree with some of the options that we had on that tier list, and do you know what? If you disagree, that is absolutely fine. If you want the super meta competitive tier list, you probably want to be watching Art of War, because they are the guys that go to every tournament. They're the guys that play all the million different battles. They get to play all the different races. If you want a bit more of a beer and pretzels tier list, I mean, I did put beer in the title of that tier list, and it put a beer can on the thumbnail. So I hope it was, I mean, my thought was that, like, it's a tier list, but it's a tier list among casual players, right? Like, I'm not a competitive player. I don't think I'll ever be a competitive Warhammer player. I mean, I do okay, probably do above average, but I don't think I've got it in me to... I actually don't know how the people... I guess competitive players, maybe they just live in better places than the arse end of Scotland. Geo says, just getting into the hobby. Took me some months to get close to an army list that I like, and the balance changes. This is going to suck a bit. Yeah, but here's the thing, Geo, right? Like, for example, if you painted those models and you get them ready and they change the meta, usually, touch wood, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, or even an edition later, those models will be good again. So it's not a complete waste of time. Like, I remember when Aggressors first came out, I bought a lot of Aggressors. I thought they were wicked in 8th edition. They had like really interesting rules. They were actually super strong for Blood Angels in 8th edition. I loved my Aggressors, played them all the time. And then in 9th edition they were like hot shit. Like, they were just absolute rubbish. No one played Aggressors, and certainly no one played them for Blood Angels. And then in 10th edition, so there's like 3 years they were just garbage. But I painted them, you know, like they were done, they were good to go. garbage for 3 years, and then the new edition comes out, and hey, aggressors are back. As Sean says in chat, it all goes around, it all comes around, yeah. Terminators is a good example, like, very few people played Terminators for the... Like, if you go in competitive Blood Angels in 9th edition, probably no one was playing Terminators in 9th edition, except me. Because I played Terminators to multiple tournaments in 9th edition. So yeah, what I take in my list is sometimes a bit different to what the professional players take. I usually do okay, and I usually try and have fun. And I guess that's like 2 takeaways from my channel is like, try and have fun, because if you're not having fun, then what's the fucking point? Miguel says 10... I really want to try 10 Terminators, Miguel. I just don't know if I can bring myself to do it. At the end of the edition, they do sometimes do like an Arcs of Omen season, Eternal Crusader, which is basically a season at the end of the edition where they loosen some of the restrictions and make it a little bit more crazy. But I still think it sucks if you haven't had your codex by then and your codex is coming out with the Arcs of Omen type release, then I think that kind of sucks, man. I just think they need more time they need more time in each edition where every army has its final codex. You know, everybody's got their new rules, everybody's got their new codex, everyone's playing on what would be arguably the most balanced time of the edition, right? Because they've had the entire 3 years to balance it. We should have put Reavers and Suppressors in the S tier. Wow, that would have got us some. That would have got me even more hate, Campbell. Imagine that if we just maybe just do a tier list that we release on April the 1st. If Knights get less than a year for their codex, I'm just going to skip it, shelve them, and wait for the next release. Yeah, I just think, like you said, I think it's generally a pretty bad feels moment, right? Like I felt we had to wait a long time. You know, like our codex came out, I guess our codex was like a year after the release of... And it feels like a long time, like waiting for a year for your codex with only one detachment. And like the index releases are almost never perfect. You know, like if you look back at our index release, there wasn't that many exciting stratagems. So you're kind of just playing like one way, and that's your only option. And that's probably one of the reasons that I dropped Lamartez, right? Because if we go back to the start of the edition, Lamartez was the only competitive choice. Like no one was running Dante and the Sangre Guard; they were overcosted. No one was running Astrath. He was like shit, I guess. I can't even remember what rules Astrath had. I think he had that was it. He had once per game devastating wounds, whereas now he's got it on every charge. So he had once per game devastating wounds on Astrath, which was kind of rubbish. And yeah, so Lamartez was your choice. So if I rated Lamartez badly on the current tier list, part of it is biased because for 18 months, 15 months, Lamartez was the only choice. And I actually hate playing Warhammer when there's only one choice, because I only play one army. And if I feel shoehorned into, like, this is the only competitive choice, I hate that. And I also hate it when people tell others that there's, you know, like, I hate it when people, because people always used to be like, you know, if you've got dreadnoughts in your list, are you even blood angels? And I hate people that do that as well. All right, I hate, maybe not hate the people, but I hate the feeling that like you're not allowed to buy units from Codex Space Marines and play blood angels. Like, I've always played what I wanted to play, and I've done all right, and I'll continue to do all right. And I'm not going to pick the most meta things every week, and you know, I'm still gonna have fun. I'm still gonna play the game, and I think there's merit to that. Like, you don't have to take double Gladiator Lancer. You know, it's good, but you don't have to take it. And I guess that's my point, right? Like, at the moment, I think double Gladiator Lancer is probably going to be even stronger in the future. But, like, you don't have to take it. I'm not taking it at the moment. I might take it in the future, but, you know... Jeff says he's just relieved we got a new good codex. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the codex. I do think the Death Company and Sanguinary Guard are both a little bit overcosted. Which leads on to the question from Why Not, saying is 12 Sanguinary Guard too many? No, probably not. You can probably get 12 to work. I probably think 18 is too many. I can't imagine we'll see many people run 18. I do think they're a tiny bit too expensive for what you're getting. I think the Sanguinary Guard would have probably been okay at like 40 per model. But then I guess if there were 40 per model, they maybe edge towards people would have run 3 of them, and Games Workshop don't like it. They've really had a problem with people spamming Sanguinary Guard. They never seem to manage to... They either have it balanced that no one's running Sanguinary Guard, or people were running the maximum amount. 616 Minis is in the chat. He just became a channel member, and he just had his kid yesterday, or was it this morning? Congratulations, dude. Became a father for the first time. I think that's awesome. I was going to say, you now get to join the rest of us in being tired all the time, being crabby all the time, getting woken up by getting kicked in the... I was going to say getting kicked in the bed by somewhere. Hey, it builds character, is what they say. No, it's awesome. Having kids is one of the best things you'll ever do. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, but it's also one of the best things you'll ever do. So congrats. They're a good point, but it's not worth taking 3. I think you could maybe run 2 Sanguinary Guard and be okay. I mean, you could probably drop Death Company. Like, would you just run like 6 Sanguinary Guard with a captain, 6 Sanguinary Guard with Dante, and run no Death Company? I feel like that's an option. I think when you compare the 5-man Death Company for 130 points against like the 5-man Jump Assault Intercessors for 90 points, it does feel like the Death Company are pretty expensive for what you're getting. I mean, the only real difference between those weapon options is like 2 weapons, and you're basically paying like 40 points for it. What weapons do you put on the Sanguinary Guard? You want to put the swords on them. The swords are going to perform better in like 90% of the situations. And in the one situation they don't perform better, you can just use the stratagem and get Lance, and then they're the same. One of the guys from Vanguard Tactics just went to a tournament with 12 Sanguinary Guard. Do you know how well he did, Marius? Running 2 units of 6 Sanguinary Guard, they are easier to hide on the table rather than 10 Death Company. That's a good point, Ardo. So what's everyone painting tonight? Or are you guys just chilling? I feel like with all these new model releases, I feel like I'm back to square one on painting. I'm going to be painting forever, man. The spears do look cool. We'll give you that, Eternal Crusader. Marius is painting the Sangre Guard. Nice. Nice. I was going to say, Marius. Where did you DM me that? One sec. Let me see. I'm playing Red Dead 2. I've never played Red Dead, actually. I was wanting to play Cyberpunk, but I just haven't found the time, or... I haven't played any of this. When Cyberpunk came out, it was like a hot mess, right? So I didn't buy it. I always see it in sale now, so at some point I'll buy Cyberpunk 77. I like Keanu Reeves. Alright, hold on. Here we go. Right, look, our good man from chat, Marius. Oh, here we go. Marius Gage started a YouTube channel. He has 3 subscribers, so I'll make it 4. There's an update. I'll make it 4. If anyone is feeling generous and wants to help Marius out, I know he's an Ultramarine, so I mean, you don't have to watch him. I mean, we could always slag him off for being blue and stuff, but if anyone wants to help Marius out, maybe help him get up to 10 subs or something. He didn't ask me to share a stream or anything like that, I'm just doing it because it's nice to be nice. That's what my mum always used to say to me. It's nice to be nice. We definitely need more people being nice in this world, don't we? This world that just wants to chew you up and spit you out. So yeah, if anyone wants to help Marius, there's a link in the chat to his that's your first video, right? Well, be critical if you watch this video, because critical but nice. You gotta learn somewhere, right? You can only learn from... My first video on this platform was absolute dog shit. Do you know what? I should actually go watch your video and rate it if it was as bad as my first video. Because my first video was proper dog shit. But I got 1 subscriber from that first video, and that gave me... I don't know who that one person was, but there we go. Hey, you are an Ultramarines fanatic, but your first video is Sangre Guard. I mean, I think at this point you may as well just tell Marnius Calgar that you've found a better chapter. You're done, Marius. Get those Ultramarines, ship them out. Guys, thanks so much for giving them some love, it's very kind of you. Marius actually got like fucked earlier this year because he quoted like a 40k book on Twitter, and they like banned his Twitter account, and you never got your account back, right? They just deleted you off Twitter because you said something, and I guess the AIs that control Twitter now must have flagged it for some reason, and they just removed his whole account with like 2,500 subscribers. Yeah, fun times, eh? That's what the future of AI looks like. You know, you'll have a bill that's overdue or something, and you'll have paid the bill, and you'll be phoning up the company to say like, hey, I paid that bill that was overdue, and the AI will be like, you didn't pay the bill, what are you talking about? How'd you get layers with smooth finish? Are you talking to me or are you talking to Marius? You still have your account, but it was permanently banned. Even though you asked multiple times. Yeah, sounds like Twitter these days, huh? Or X, as they like to call it. Thin coats, man, is the trick. Like, I was going to say, my paint palette is just off the screen there, and it's probably not going to focus on the paint palette. But like, this black paint is very, very thin. Possibly too thin, so it's like... Yeah, you know, like, probably too thin, actually. Probably need to be a... But yeah, just... there's a... I feel like with Citadel paints, there's a... It's not actually that hard to find. You just... There's like a magic paint sauce where you've watered the paint down a bit. I think the ratio is supposed to be like 2 to 1. So like 2 parts paint to 1 part water. And if you get that right, then the paint just flows very, very thinly, but has good coverage. And you're being very... I was going to say, there's definitely people that do better jobs at painting on YouTube than I do, but it really just comes down to multiple thin coats, right? Like, I know that there's sort of a meme about that, where like some of the best painters were like 2 thin coats. It is kind of true. It's just like, take your time. Multiple thin coats is usually always ends up with a better result than like 1 thick coat. I mean, I've been painting every week now for like 7 or 8 years. So practice does just help as well, right? This Death Company Maroon looks really good. I appreciate it. I'm not sure I agree, but we'll get there yet. How many subscribers do we get Marius up to? Do we hit double figures? We made his day. Look at that. You're very welcome, Marius. I hope you managed to... I mean, I guess your Twitter account's fucked, but I hope this makes up for it. We're all going to be waiting, though, for a better second video. I will watch your first video and give you some feedback. It was my daughter's birthday today, so I was very busy. If I submitted my list, will I be on the show tomorrow? Probably not, but you are a member, so there is a chance, Cambo. I mean, submit it. I think I've been doing member lists now for the best part of like the last 3 or 4 weeks, so we might be getting to the point where we've done all the member lists. I'm not 100%. There might be another whole week of member. But then last week I did 8 armies on the show. Sorry, I did 8 lists on the show last Sunday night. So depending on time and stuff, I might try and do 8 tomorrow. I guess we'll see. Zapix has just got his Dante and has been painting him. Can't wait to try. I've been painting my Dante. I haven't done anything this week, but I done quite a bit last week. I've been working on them. It's a bit of a painting tutorial guide as well, so I need to get another day. Like I think one more day of painting this guy, and I can probably get him finished. But the new Dante model is sexy, isn't it? I really like it. As much as I'm upset that a lot of our old models, you know, got discontinued or legends, the new models are so nice. Just everything about them, like the size of them, the poses, just feels so much nicer than the ones we've had from since the 90s, I guess. Jeffrey put his list in on the tier list video, but he's settled in for the wait. Thanks, Jeffrey. I'll get to you as soon as possible. What do pro players take? Typically, like, I actually don't really know what pro players are playing for Blood Angels in 10th edition yet, because, well, with the new codex anyway. But before the new codex came out, there was definitely like the 100% melee list. Like, everything is melee. So before the new codex, it was Death Company, it was Power Fists, Sangre Guard were really not popular before the refresh of them. So it was typically like usually 3 squads of Death Company and then Jump Intercessors. Sometimes sometimes Vanguard Veterans with the Sangre Priest. Would you ever review non-Blood Angels list for the perspective? I don't know if I know the other armies well enough. Like, I was going to say, in the meta that I play against, I don't even get to play all the armies. I actually kind of think there's too many armies in 40k. The last thing 40k needs, in my opinion, is more armies, but I believe we're getting Emperor's Children at some point. I just think there's enough armies in there, but yeah, I can give advice. You know, like if you're like, you play against World Eaters a lot and 8-bound really screw my life up, what do you recommend? I can give advice like that, but like breaking down an entire Khorne list? No, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the Khorne Codex, so I would miss things. That's where channels like Vanguard Tactics and Art of War are probably your more go-to channel, because they'll cover everything and they'll know everything. But I get some of those channels want like monthly subscriptions or whatnot. But I mean, I always kind of feel like you get what you pay for in this world, and that like if you're getting something for free, it's probably not going to be as good as what you would get if you pay for it, right? So I don't know any other channels that cover everybody like that, but I would think Art of War or Vanguard Tactics would be the channels that I would recommend if you're wanting to look at 40k as a more if you want to take 40k more seriously, like if you're wanting to become a pro at 40k, then those channels are probably worth their weight in gold. I'd like to do more, but unfortunately I have a day job that requires about 50 hours of my week, and then I've got kids, so... If I didn't have to do if I win the lottery tomorrow, I'll buy all the codecs and I'll become that channel, Jeffrey, but unfortunately I feel like that's very unlikely to happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Soul BA guy as well. How backed up are we on list reviews? I mean, we've been doing member-only list reviews for a few weeks now, Zacharias. If you've got a list, I mean, just get it in as soon as possible. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I did eight reviews on last Sunday's show. So we can try and do 8 tomorrow night if I've got time. I mean, I shouldn't have to rush off tomorrow night, so I can probably try and do 8 reviews again tomorrow night, just to try and get through some of the backlog and get caught up with more member lists, if that makes sense. Look at Volrak, he used to be a carer, never say never. Yeah, I mean, I wrote down on a bit of paper, because one of the things that I was doing in the last couple of years, I guess it's been like a guilty pleasure of mine, is like motivational books or motivational podcasts or whatnot. I don't even really know why. I've been trying to get in probably to do with my fitness, Marius. I've been trying to get in shape. One of the ways to get in shape is like you need to motivate yourself. I work in app development, like mobile app development, iPhone, iOS primarily. Yeah, so one of the things I was doing was like reading motivational books, listening to motivational things. And one of the things that I heard was, if you write down your goals, like on a bit of paper, like any goal you might have in life, if you write it down on a bit of paper, they did like some study at a university that found that like if people write down their goals on a bit of paper, a post-it note, whatever you want to do, you're like 40% more likely to reach that goal just by writing it down on a bit of paper. And there's like some logic, because you've written it down. I think I mentioned this on my stream before, right? So I wrote down on a bit of paper in my kitchen, like on a post-it note, get 20,000 subscribers, and then like the next day I was like talking to my wife and was like, did you see a post-it note that I was writing on yesterday? She's like, oh yeah, there was like a post-it note that said like get 20,000 subscribers. I was like, yeah, where is it? And she's like, oh, I threw it out. It's like, oh, okay, thanks love. I mean, I guess I'll get another post-it note. So if there's something you're trying to achieve in your life and you're struggling with it, apparently if you just write it down, just the act of writing it down will increase the chances of you being able to achieve that goal. Crazy, right? I need to write down my fitness goals actually, because that's something else I'm trying to work on at the moment. I just finished your tier list video. Gotta say, I'm sad Sangrery Priest got put in C, but I can't argue that he's overcosted. Could you expand on your thoughts of the Salt Intercessor's captain plus the Sangrery Priest? Yeah, I mean, sure, we can expand on it. If we go back, like, just before the Codex, right? People were running Assault Intercessors with jump packs. plus the captain, plus the Sangre Priest. And I think it was, with the jump packs, it was pretty good. Without the jump packs, I guess being on foot means you're limited to sort of 6-inch movement, which isn't great. I kind of feel like that captain is a one and done kind of play, in my opinion, because like the captain can jump out of a transport, maybe he can advance and charge, maybe he can like get into an enemy and he can pop his finest hour and all that sort of good stuff. And he can do a bunch of damage, but then typically when he gets retaliated on, he's gonna die. He's just a captain, and he's just leading like toughness 4 Marines with a 3-up save. I've played Assault Intercessors in 5s, I've played them in 10s, and I generally feel like they're better in 5s, because I guess the way I look at Assault Intercessors is they're not really a massive damaging unit. They can do damage. It's not like they're a Death Company or a Sangre Guard. They're not like, you know, they're not throwing out tons of damage. They're not throwing out high strength attacks. They're not throwing out high AP attacks. I mean, I guess their AP's decent if they've got the priest attached, but it's still only strength 6. It's still only 1 damage. So my thought behind the, if I'm gonna play a captain and Assault Intercessors on foot, I'm probably going to make it as cheap as I possibly can. So it'll be like... And I feel like they kind of want a transport, because you don't really want those guys trying to walk across the battlefield. I don't think they've got the durability to walk across the battlefield. So I think that's where my logic behind not loving the Sangre Priest for 90 points comes from, because I'm not going to pay 90 points to only buff 5 guys. So I feel like if I'm going to take that Sangre Priest, I need to be taking him in a 10-man squad to get the buff onto 10, and then it's like, so how am I... Like, I don't want to take a Land Raider or a Pulsar or something to transport Assault Intercessors. So I just don't really know... At 2, whatever it is, be the 80 plus 90... Be the best part of like 330 points or something. And it's just really Intercessors on foot that only move 6 inches. I just don't know if I feel like I can justify... Like, it would be cheaper to just take the Impulsor, right? And the 5-man squads. And just get my Alpha Strike out the Impulsor. And I kind of feel like they do the same thing. They still get mopped up the second the opponent attack them. How do you feel about Hellblasters? I don't know, man. I mean, I've got Hellblasters. I've got them painted as well. I think, to me, it feels like if I was going to go for Plasma, I feel like Inceptors are a better choice for Blood Angels, just because... I mean, I guess you can put the Hellblasters inside an Impulsor and have some sort of shenanigans there where you use the firing deck. We just don't often see it done with Blood Angels, I guess. They did the Sangre Priest dirty by taking his jump pack away. Yeah, I mean, I just can't see why I would ever take him without the jump pack. I mean... the only thing they did by taking the jump pack away was they saved me 25 bucks, because I was like, well, I ain't buying him if he doesn't have a jump pack. What am I going to put him with? I've run the 10-man Assault Intercessors before on foot. I mean, I think they're fine, but like I said, they're no Blade Guard, they're no Sangre Guard, they're no Death Company, they're no Terminators. Strength 6 with only 1 AP, even if you've got the bonus for plus 1 AP, it's still only Strength 6. There's still whole armies that kind of just go, well, Strength 6 isn't good enough to deal with us, right? AI Sample says I've been wanting to try a drop pod. I don't think there's that many plays for drop pods at the moment, unfortunately. Some people have been saying that they can work. I've seen some people saying they're still running them with Devastators inside it. But I'm not sure I'm on Team Drop Pod at the moment. I think it's kind of weaker. It drives me crazy that Chaos still get Rhinos with 12 capacity, and we are forced into Impulsors with 7. Yeah, it is a little bit silly that they can put like 10 Plague Marines and a Biologist Putrefier and a friggin' Foul Blight spawn inside a Rhino. Yes, agreed. What will happen when their new codex come out? I guess Rhinos will either get nerfed, or something will change? I don't really know. Drop pods are for shooting units now. Yeah, I mean, I think the one guy that was adamant about it was saying that he put 2 Las Cannon Devastator squads inside the drop pod. And I was like, I guess if you just you want to get 8 Las Cannon shots, maybe slightly more with the Cherub, it's possibly not the worst idea. Just think that toughness 4 Marines with a 3-up save don't really... Vindicators aren't a transport. They can't hold anything, I'm afraid. Jeff says, Turkey. The captain plus a 5 assault intercessors do a good amount of dev wounds, and the priest doesn't help with that at all. I mean, that's a good point, right? And here's the thing as well, I suppose, if we're talking about that priest helping out. When you use that captain with the assault intercessors, you typically have that captain with a Power Fist, right? So Power Fist is AP 2. I feel like for the most part, AP 2 is a fine amount of AP. Like, does AP 3 massively change that? I feel like it probably doesn't, because like usually if you've got AP 2 in melee combat, you're usually like 9 times out of 10 if you're on AP 2, you're pushing the enemy onto their invuln save if they've got one. So like based on that, I kind of feel like the extra AP for the priest is just lessened, because the Power Fist already kind of doesn't need an AP boost, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I played that Power Fist Finest Hour Captain to GT, and like I never once sort of thought to myself like, oh, I really want more AP. Thanks so much for subscribing, Marlo. I appreciate it. Am I listening to Commander? What do you mean, Andonius? I'm confused. Max says he generally thinks the captain is the single best model in lag. You just mean because of his once per game devastating wounds finest hour? Because like if let me just go right, because we didn't rate the captain. I think we said he's a B, right? In the tier list, and some people were upset about that. Some people thought he should be higher, which is fine. You're allowed to disagree with me. But here's the thing: if you think the captain is great when he goes up to 9 attacks with dead wounds, I mean, like, could you not just argue, well, Dante has 9 attacks for the entire game with lethal as an AP 3? I mean, so if we break it down over the course of 5 turns, Dante's probably going to be better than him for damage output, right? And Dante's probably more likely to survive across multiple turns because Sangre Guard are much more difficult to kill than Assault Intercessors, which are essentially, you know, the Sangre Guard are essentially bodyguarding Dante. They're a lot harder to kill than Assault Intercessors. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I run that captain in the GT that I won in June, the Finest Hour captain. I thought he's good. I think he's got better with Rage Fueled Warrior. But for me, he's kind of a one and done. You know, like, you'll come out of his Impulsor or his wherever transport you have him in. You'll go in, you'll fuck something up, and then he's kind of left high and dry, because he's only a 6-inch move. So it's not like you're falling back from anything or running away from anything. Whereas, like, sometimes Dante can go in, kill something, and then just jump away with his 12-inch jump. Like, that's a thing that happens as well. Dante can just leave the combat and be like, yeah, I don't fancy this combat. I'm gonna go tussle somewhere else, right? So don't get me wrong, I think you're probably right, Max, saying that the captain is very strong. Like, I think he is very strong. But is he the single best in Liberator Assault Group? I don't think I agree with that, because I don't have him in my list. So, like, I've picked other things ahead of that. But, I mean, I'm allowed to be wrong. And you know, like, I guess if I'm allowed to be wrong, you're allowed to be right. So maybe, you know, maybe I'm wrong and you are right. He is the single best thing. I guess in my playstyle, or the way I've been playing Blood Angels, it's been working out well for me using Dante and stuff, and I don't know if I necessarily want to include that captain or feel like I need to include him. So, you know, each to their own, I guess, right? I think you're right, Jeff. I think if you do want to run assault intercessors and you do want to run a captain, I think you put them in the impulsor. I think you can add Rage Fueled Warrior. I think you don't have to have it. I think it doesn't make a massive difference, because I think he's still good without Rage Fueled Warrior. But if you've got the 10 points, you can add it. But I think that's the best way you play. I think that's the best way you play that captain. Like, he doesn't need a Sangre Priest. Take the 90 points you'd spend on the Sangre Priest, as Jeff has said, and go spend that on another unit of Jump Assault Intercessors. I think I'd rather do that. If you did run out and buy the new Sangre Priest, I'm sorry. I don't get why Games Workshop make models that have crappy rules. It doesn't make any sense to me, because surely if they had better rules they would sell more models, but it seems to happen every edition. That we get some models that just don't seem to gel or don't seem to synergize, and they're just left. But here's the, like we said, I think earlier in the stream, like there probably will be a time, like next edition, so like in 18 months time, where everybody's taking the Sangre Priest. Everyone's going, oh my god, the Sangre Priest is the best thing since sliced bread. It's just not right now, in my opinion. If they let us run the Priest with Blade Guard, it instantly become top tier. Yeah, I mean, I think if the Priest had been able to be run with Blade Guard, I think you're right. I think it would be very likely to have become a top tier pick just for the durability it would give. I actually don't think it would be super unbalanced as well. I think that was what they were probably worried about. Like, you paid 90 points to give the Blade Guard a 5-up Feel No Pain. I mean, I just think it would have been like... I think it would have probably sold a lot of Blade Guard, because a lot of people would have liked that for like a center objective type unit. You know, a durable melee unit, because they got the big storm shields. Something that Blood Angels have kind of struggled with a little bit is like that durable centerboard presence. So I think if the Priest had been able to attach to the Blade Guard, I think it would have just been I don't think it would have been overpowered. I think it would have just been popular. I think it would have been popular, but not necessarily overpowered, I guess. Good morning from Australia. Done absolute zero hobby for the last 2 weeks while my wife has been overseas, and I'm now looking after the 4-year-old and the 9-month-year-old. You know what? You're not too far away from me, dude. My little daughter was 5 today, and her brother is 2. It's hard to hobby when they're at that age. I get you. You gotta get into a bedtime routine and get them both to sleep, then you can hobby. That's what I do. What paint are we using? Just standard Citadel paint, man. Been Rizzy and Grey for the highlight, I've been on black for the black. It's kind of the grey that it's kind of been my go-to grey on my Death Company for many years now, I guess. Thanks, Lagmeister. Yeah, I think Rage-Fueled Warriors at 10 points was kind of... I was expecting it to go up. I never thought that they would release it at 10 points. I know it is only once per game, but I think just Sustained 3 is kind of batshit crazy for 10 points. Like, you can put it on anyone. I know everybody's got it on that Captain, but in the list that I'm going to be playing next time on my channel, I just had 10 points available at the end of the list. I'm just running a Chaplain with a Power Fist. So I was like, well, my Chaplain gets to reroll hits all the time because he's usually in the Squad of Death Company. So let me just throw Rage on that Chaplain. I know it's only like 5 attacks. I could just fish for 6s every single time, right? So yeah, I was expecting the Rage to at least be the same price as Icon of the Angel, because I think if you compare it to Icon of the Angel, I'm like, I will just take Rage every single time over Icon of the Angel. Like, there's no question. Icon of the Angel is okay. Rage is just kind of awesome. Evening, Quicks. You're going to get a pot of Black Legion. Is that different to Abaddon Black? I was going to say, you can't buy me a pot of that, though, Marius, because all my guys are already painted in fucking Abaddon Black. I'm not going back and repainting all my guys. Oh, Legion is contrast. I don't use contrast very often. Probably should, though, for black guys, just to save myself a bunch of time. I did use a tiny bit of contrast on Dante. It makes painting black a joy. Really? What do you do? Just spray it white or something and then slap it, like grey sear or something, and slap the contrast over it? I'll be live for probably at least another hour, but beyond that, I'm not entirely sure how long I'll be like here. when it gets late, my vision starts to get a bit blurry, I guess, and then at that point I start making mistakes, and then I'm like, oh god, I should have just stopped half an hour ago. That's the problem with always painting in the evenings. Quite like painting during the day, but with the kids it's not really viable. I was going to say, Marius, you need to make a video about using contrast paint, black, Abaddon paint, and share it to me. I think this guy is okay-ish. I was going to say the highlights look okay here. They look a little bit more wonky underneath my magnifying glass, but I think we're okay to maybe move on to the other model. Where'd I buy the round light? It was on Amazon. It was like $20, man. It's a 300% magnifier, so like 3x. So I always say that I waste time painting what the naked eye can't see, because I guess this is what it looks like with the naked eye. This is what it looks like when I'm painting it. So then you see all the little imperfections, and I spend way too much time. Like I said, my eyesight's not even good, so I spend time fixing it. Like both my glasses are like a near sight zoom. Both my lenses are like a near sight zoom. So what I should actually do is just take my glasses off and be like, whoa, look at that, looks fucking magic, because you can't see it. Thanks for hanging out, AI. Take care. Nice to see you. Just noticed the Superman look with the red blood cod piece. Yeah, I've always painted those red blood cod pieces. I don't really know why. Just something to keep things fresh, I guess. This is the first Death Company Marine I'm painting Primaris. No, that went totally wrong. This is the first Death Company Marine I'm painting Primaris. I don't know why I thought I was so confused. Right, I'm gonna leave his edge highlight for now. He's gonna need a retouch up on some of it as I continue this process, but I'm gonna get the other one up to the sort of same standard, I guess. Do you ever consider doing a hobby hangout on Zoom? It's not a bad idea, but I can't vet what other people say, I guess. I think the Grey Tide jump packs are pretty sweet. I got some from Archie's Forge today that look really, really nice. Hello Mark, how you doing? It's the first time I've ever had stuff from Archie's Forge. I've heard a lot of people rave about it. And based on my first opinion, based on my first impression, let me show you. Oh, my arm is so sore, man. I've been doing... Apparently I did my longest ever workout today. Strength training. Oh, my arm is sore. So here's one of the Archie's Forge jump packs. I think they look crisp as... I'm super impressed with this. I think these might be my favourite Crimson Lord parts yet. I've had a few different suppliers send me the jump packs. These ones look really, really nice. So I guess if you're in the UK, Archie's Forge might just be... But they were selling this, which is 5 different Sangreguard jump packs for $15. This is what 15. So I guess like $3 a jump pack. But I mean, like, look at them. They're gorgeous. One of the next videos I'm going to make for the channel is putting one of these on a Sangreguard. I gave Dante the Sangreguard Greytide wings, shins, gauntlet, and wrist weapon. He looks amazing compared to vanilla. Well, that's cool. I'm really happy that we got the option to do non-vanilla stuff with the Greytide miniatures. It came out right at the right time, didn't it? Speaking of, this guy's actually got a Greytide Eviscerator. That isn't a GW Eviscerator. This is the one-hand Eviscerator from Greytide. I think it's dope, man. It reminds me of the old Forge World pieces, right?
Redrum donated €5 via Super Chat. Love your channel, John. What do you think needs most buffs in the BA Codex in the coming slate? Also, my Rage Cap one-shotted in combat Canis Rex.
Well, this is why people think the Rage Captain is an A tier unit, because I guess with a few lucky 6s, he just kills anything. I'm glad that you had fun with the Rage Captain. Maybe I need to try and sneak it into my next list. What do I think needs the most buffs? 5-man Death Company are too expensive. 3/6-man Sangreguard are too expensive. I'm pretty happy with most of everything else. I think the Sanguinor is too expensive. I think the Sangre Priest is too expensive. So I think they can probably fix a bunch of things with points. Hey, and do you know what? I'm here. Games Workshop could talk to me. They just don't. But I think it's obvious. Unfortunately, what's obvious to us isn't always obvious to Games Workshop. Thank you so much for the 5 euros, I think, Redrum? Yeah, euros. Cool, thank you so much for the 5 euros. So I don't know if we necessarily need buffs. I think Liberator Assault Group is a good detachment, but I think points drops on a few key units, and it doesn't have to be much, just 5 here, 5 there. If you think of what the Death Company actually lost, you know, they lost like multiple Infernal Pistols, they lost 2 or 3 Power Fists in every 5, and they only lost like 10 points. I feel like they got a lot weaker than 10 points. I think 5 Death Company could be 120. I think that would be balanced, and I think the Sangreguard could maybe be like 130 or 125 for 3, and I think that could be balanced as well. Dadside Hobby says, are you worried about the third-party bits rule? So the third-party bits rule really just depends on if you are playing tournaments at a Games Workshop store or Warhammer World, as far as I'm aware, right? Like, because if you're just rocking up to your local friendly game store or your local GT, they do not give a shit about third-party bits. It only matters if you're playing at a Games Workshop store, and I guess that would make sense, right? Because they don't want you playing with non-Games Workshop bits at a Games Workshop store or something like that. I live hundreds of miles. I think we looked at it on stream a few weeks ago, and it was like, it's going to take me like 10 hours to drive to Warhammer World. So like the chances, I'd like to go to a tournament in Warhammer World, and I'm not ruling it out, because I think one day I will go to a tournament in Warhammer World, and I guess when I go, I'll need to make sure that I've got no third-party nonsense. But like, basically, I was going to say, in 90% of the events that I go to, it's not even 90, it's 100%, because I don't go to GW. So 100% of the events I go to, they don't care if you're on third-party bits. As long as it's obvious what the model is. And here's the thing, when you go to local events, they don't even care what weapon options you have, right? Like, for example, if we go over like the last 3 or 4 years, every 6 months Games Workshop changed what weapon option Death Company should have. Right, Death Company should, let's go back like 2 years into 9th edition, every Death Company Marine needed a Thunderhammer. Go to the start of this edition, every Death Company Marine needed... There was a period where everybody should have Infernal Pistols and Power Swords. And then there's a period where everybody should have Infernal Pistols and Power Fists, and now it's all changed again for about the 5th time in 2 years or something. So like, I've been to tournaments where my Death Company are all armed with like batshit crazy stuff, because Games Workshop have basically changed the rules for Death Company 5 times in 2 years. And when I rock up to the tournament and I put my army on the tabletop, I just say to my friend or my opponent, typically I usually make friends with my opponent, so friend and opponent, I guess, I would just say, all my Death Company are armed with Power Fists because Games Workshop have changed it in the last 3 months, and I haven't had time because I've got a young child to change all my models. And most of the time my opponent would probably say like, oh yeah, they've changed something of mine, just for the record all my tanks have this gun on top of them, because they've changed stuff for everybody, right? So like, I think dad's side hobbies, unless you're going to a Games Workshop tournament, I think you're good. I think as long as you're honest and forthcoming, then I think you're good. When I last played in 2008, Games Workshop had a mail order where you could buy individual bits. Yeah, they actually stopped that. I don't know what year it was, but they stopped resellers breaking down their boxes as well to sell individual bits. I kind of really hated that. After that, basically, if you wanted individual bits, you had to buy boxes for models you didn't really want, or you just had to get shafted on eBay. Jeff says he's sure as hell not going to change the load. I gave up changing the loadouts, Jeff. For the longest time, I was magnetizing units, and I was, I would make 20 guys, and I'd magnetize every weapon and all this shit, and then they still managed to change it and break everything. So I was like, yeah, I'm just done with. Like, essentially, it's keeping up with the Joneses at that point, if you remember that saying. I was just like, I'm not even trying to have the right weapon options anymore. I'm just modeling my guys for cool, and when I go to a tournament, I'll just be up front with my opponent and tell them what weapons are what, so they're clear. And if it looks like they're making a big mistake, like if they were going to jump a huge mob into like a giant squad of my fight first guys that all have Power Fists or something, I'd probably just tell them, I'd be like, hey, just so you remember, those Death Company all have Power Fists. If you've ever been to a tournament and got caught out by a gotcha, and a gotcha is basically a rule that you didn't know about that could be super powerful and swing something towards you, it's such a feel-bad moment in a tournament. If you can avoid gotchaing people, I'd probably recommend it. The only time I might gotcha someone is like if it's like to win the tournament, or if it's like right at the end of a really important game, and but like generally if it's like one of the first games of the tournament where you're probably going to be able to win anyway, or you're like prefer to just not gotcha people if I don't have to. Because yeah, when you get gotcha'd yourself, it sucks. I love the non-competitive folk at my local game store saying for GTs it must be WYSIWYG. It doesn't have to be WYSIWYG. I've literally gone to a tournament before where I was taking an easy build to Redemptor, right? And I went online and I got the picture of the box of the Redemptor Dreadnought, and I, you know, like when they put them on the box, maybe it's going to be hard to explain, but basically, like, what I did was, so I was going to a tournament with the Redemptor Dreadnought, right? And I had the easy to build version that had the assault cannon, and I wanted, which is this weapon, and I wanted it to have the plasma cannon, wherever the plasma cannon is. So I guess I googled a bunch of places till I found a picture of this plasma cannon, like side on. So I found a picture of that plasma cannon anyway. I printed the picture of the plasma cannon out on a bit of paper, and I like stuck it to the top of my model with a bit of blue tack. So I had like two Redemptors, one had the plasma, one had the assault cannon. But basically I wanted both of them to have the plasma cannon for the tournament. And I basically said to my opponent, the reason that there's a fucking picture blue tack to the top of that model is because that Redemptor Dreadnought is supposed to have a plasma cannon, and nobody cared. So like I said, I think as long as you're clear with what you're trying to do, I think, and you're not going to the Games Workshop tournaments, I think you're good to go. I thought it was pretty clever actually, just to print out the plasma cannon. I felt like I'd been smart there. Saved myself $20 by buying the easy to build Redemptor Dreadnought. When you walk up to the table at GT, what questions do you ask your opponent? That's a tough question, JT Money, because I think it's all going to come down to how well you know your opponent's army, right? You know, like I've played a lot of games against Death Guard, so if I came up against a Death Guard army, I might just ask, like, what enhancements have you got and where are they? Or, you know, if you come up against like an army that you have very little knowledge about, and that does happen in tournaments, then I guess like you'd be wanting to know potential OC values of stuff, what's battle line, you know, maybe like the profiles of some of their big guns or their big combat weapons. That's quite a tough question to answer because it's going to be based on how well you know the opponent's army. So what I do, even at my local Games Workshop, they don't do WYSIWYG. There you go. There you go. Don't tell anyone, Marius, you'll get in trouble. If I absolutely had to take a Brutalis Dreadnought in the list, how would I use them? Sorry, I think just before... No, I thought I'd missed someone's question. I think I got it. So I have used a Brutalis Dreadnought one time, and I put it in reserve. And it came out of reserve, and it charged something, and then it died. And I thought that was kind of okay for what it did. You know, like at 160 points, it's going to charge in, it's going to kill something, and then it's going to be kind of in a bad position / exposed, so it's probably going to die. And I think that's probably how you use them, which is probably why I don't run them. I mean, it will kill something, so probably put it in reserve, rapid ingress it, use it to kill something that you were having trouble to get off the board, and maybe there is value in that. WYSIWYG is kind of dead in 10th edition, yeah. Gotchas don't exist if mentioned at the beginning of the game. I mean, yes and no, I suppose, right? Like, for example, like in previous editions, our Sanguinary Guard could heroically intervene anytime. You know, and occasionally you would tell your opponent before the game, just remember my Sanguinary Guard can heroic intervene within 6 inches, and you would tell people that, and they would still do charges and move within 6 inches of them. So at that point, you've told them what they can do, so then if they move within, are you okay to just do it? It's a tough one. Like I said, I would prefer to not gotcha people, but like at some point in the game, it is part of the game. You know, like, you are using your stratagem to give yourself an advantage, so is it okay? Yeah, I hope that answered your question, JT Money. That was what I was going to say. What I'd like to do, if I am going to a tournament, when they release all the lists online and you can see them all in like the BCP app or whatever you can see them in, I like to look at all the lists, and I like to look probably more specifically at armies that I don't know anything about. Because there's always one army or two armies that you don't have very much experience playing against. I mean, like, there's like 20 something armies in the game now, so unless you've got no job and no kids, I guess, like, there's going to be armies you're not very familiar with. So I like to look at the armies that I'm not very familiar with, and maybe try and look at some of their problem units and trying to figure out like what they might be trying to achieve. And then when they announce, typically in most tournaments they announce like the day before who you're playing against. Whenever I know who I'm playing against on day one, I like to look up their army. I like to figure out what they're trying to do with their army within reason. I guess if there's a question that you're not sure about, then that would be what you ask them when you come to the table to play against them in the game. And then I guess games 2 and 3 are just luck of the draw at that point, right? So you maybe face an army you're familiar with, you maybe don't, you just have to get on with it. And then at the end of day 1, like, I really like going 3-0 in day 1. It doesn't always happen, but I feel like I quite often manage to grind out 3 wins on day 1. So then for day 2, or when you finish day 1 of the event, I like to go home, I like to get an early bed, I like to get up early as well, and I like to not drink alcohol, because a lot of my friends like to drink alcohol when they're at events, but I think it's probably best to avoid that. And then I like to look at the list that I'll play for player 4. And usually if you're 3-0, there's only a handful of people that are 3-0. So I like to look at all the lists, everybody else that's 3-0, because you're going to be probably, if you win that third game, you're probably going to be playing one of them at the final, right? So I think it's worth trying to do a little bit of research if you can, and figure out as much as you can about what you're potentially going to be playing against. And then you've got questions, enhancement questions, rules questions you could ask them when you get to the table against them. But yeah, I do like to be prepared. I do think it helps to be prepared. And don't get me wrong, I like to drink alcohol, I do. I just don't know if I feel like it's the best thing. Like, you've played 3 really hard games of 40k, you've won all 3, you're gonna start day 2 on like 3 more, or day 2 on like another really hard game. I just don't know if for me it makes the most sense to try and drink alcohol. If someone has no job, 40k is something they can't afford. Well, maybe they had a job and they've retired. I plan on playing 40k when I'm retired. You can barely afford one army. No, I get you. The models are always pushing up in price, I guess, aren't they? But hey, like, what isn't pushing up in price these days, man? Everything is pushing up in price. That's just the world we live in now, apparently. I have a couple of games planned for the 24th for 1k list against Nids and Necrons. Are you doing full melee, Michael, or are you trying to do a bit of a hybrid? Which country are you in again, Piotr? So you're going to start with 2 ballistices for fire support. Alright. I'd probably put in like at least 1 unit of jump intercessors. I'd probably put in at least 1 impulsor with like something inside it. Be it like company heroes, assault intercessors, or blade guard. I'd probably take Dante plus 3 Sangre Guard. I think that's a pretty interesting combo in 1,000 points. Because I think they can kill quite a lot of stuff in 1,000 points, and they're also quite a small footprint. Dante plus 3 would be 260. 2 ballistas is another 260. I don't know if I feel like you need infiltrators in 1,000 points, but maybe a squad of infiltrators or a squad of something. You could do scouts or something to hold the backfield. The main thing about is Lancer okay for 1,000 points? I mean, it's kind of okay, but it's kind of also awkward, right? Because a single Lancer isn't going to kill anything in a single turn, statistically. And that's why I don't recommend like a single Lancer in 2,000 points, because a single one won't kill anything in a single turn. You need 2 of them. So in 1,000 points, I think I probably do prefer like double Ballistus Dreadnought over a single Lancer. And I guess that's why we recommend 2 Lancers for 2,000 points, because if you shoot both of them at the same target, you probably score a kill. Or you probably, maybe don't always score the kill, but you probably do a lot of damage. You could do suppressors, yeah, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Man, I've one-shot so many Land Raiders with my Lancer. Well, your opponents don't know what they're doing, Marius. Because you can put your Land Raider in cover and then play Armor of Contempt, and then you're only EP 2, so then you're saving on 4s. They shouldn't be letting you one-shot their Land Raider with a Lancer. They really shouldn't. Oh, you live in Poland and you make $600 a month. Does I don't know this, man. Please excuse my naivety, but do you use the euro in Poland, or do you? Is Poland part of the European Union? I actually don't know.
I have awoken.
I mean, that must be tough. If I didn't realize that Poland only made $600 a month. Zafak says he prefers the Ballistus over the Lancer. I think statistically the Lancer is the better option. But I've been running the Ballistus much more than I've been running the Lancer, I must admit as well. I've never visited Poland. I was at one point before I had like a family, I was trying to visit a European country every year. I did like I had done like 10 of them. So I'd done Ireland, I'd done Portugal, I did France, I did Germany, I did Czechia. I think it used to be called, it was Czech Republic when I visited, but I think it's called Czechia now. I did Holland. I feel like I did another one. Yeah, I always say that. I can't say Czechia. It was easier for us when it was Czech Republic. I can say that. I believe they use the zloty. It's a Polish currency. Okay. I didn't realize your economy was so bad. The economy in the UK is not the greatest, but man, I didn't realize Poland's economy was so I don't know what you call that. Weak? Is it a weak? Is it a weak economy? I'd never heard that. Yeah, I'm just generally very bad at pronunciation. Like, my English was like my worst subject at school, so... It is an eviscerator, yes. It's one of the Crimson Lords ones from the 3D printed campaign that finished, I guess like a few weeks ago now. So it's a one-handed eviscerator because the ones that the Games Workshop... The Games Workshop eviscerators are two-handed only, and I actually kind of hate the two-handed eviscerator, honestly, because it makes painting the chest of the model a fucking nightmare, because he's completely obscuring his chest piece. Whereas this one on the left, with the 3D printed one, is like way easier. Okay, so a lot of people emigrate out of Poland. I mean, it makes sense. I just didn't realise it was that bad. I saw a graph yesterday that said, like, UK apparently is like really bad for energy prices at the moment. Apparently in the UK we're paying like more for energy, like electricity, than like anywhere else in the world. I think we were getting a lot of our energy from Russia before the war started, and like all that nonsense, I guess. I actually really dislike how much war there is in the world at the moment. Like, I'm more of a pacifist. Did you get the Sangria Guard jump packs too? Yeah. I was showing them off on the stream earlier, dude. These are the ones from Archie's Forge. I think they look pretty sick. So it was 5 of these for 15 bucks. Each one is like slightly different, I guess, right? I mean, I've got like the wing. These guys that I'm painting right now. These are like the wingless versions of those jump packs. I paint the torso before putting the weapons on. I mean, that would make sense, but those torsos where both arms are attached are a pain in the arse as well. Because I feel like whenever you attach them, you always end up making a bit of a mess. So, yeah, I guess I just generally make the model and then deal with the painting afterwards. Which probably isn't the smartest idea, but that's how I do it. Yeah, I mean, if you're in the UK, there's multiple places that are selling the Crimson Lord parts. I recommend them. I was really disappointed with the lack of custom parts in those new Sangre Guard boxes, like really disappointed with them. So I've been using Crimson Lords basically on every model I'm making. I couldn't have made more of a mess of that edge highlight there if I tried. I will be tidying that one up. God, that's ugly. Do you think that the Jump Pack Death Company Captain has one possibility versus the Jump Pack Chaplain? I don't know where the possibility is. Yes, is the answer. You know, the Jump Pack Chaplain is just useful. +1 to wound is useful. Mortal wounds every time you fight is useful. Giving the Death Company the ability to fall back in OC is just very useful, and it's like the Death Company Captain, like, what's he bringing to the table? Sustained 1 or something? And potentially some mortals when he dies? I don't know, I wish that the rules for the Death Company characters were better. Like, if we go back to last edition, it was like you always kind of wanted to just make one of your captains, you'd be like, oh yeah, let's just get this captain as part of the Death Company. It'll give him extra attacks, it'll give him extra durability. There was always a good choice in 9th edition. If you had the points left over, you always wanted to be like, yeah, let's put that guy in the Death Company. And now it's just like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Death Company captains. And you still have to pay the chaplain tax. I don't know about putting the bike chaplain with Outriders, McFatson. I mean, you just have to take the chaplains, I guess. And we have so many Death Company data sheets. Yeah, I mean, there's like 6 Death Company data sheets, 7 if you include the Dreadnought, and there's 1 that's good. And the one that's good is kind of too expensive points-wise right now. Probably 10 points too expensive. Maximilian says, does taking Sanctuary Guard banner require you to take the spear for 1 model? No, it does not. Just started building my new combat patrol and wanted to give them all swords. Yeah, I mean, the problem is I think the spear... I actually haven't opened my combat patrol yet. I think the problem is that the spear only looks like it fits on a... Sorry, the banner looks like it only fits on a spear, right? I think what I would do, Maximilian, is I would either just make one with a spear and put the banner on it, and when I get to my tournament, I would write on my army list, 6 times swords, and then when I speak to my opponent, I just say that one Sanctuary Guard that's got the spear is actually just a sword. I've just got it because that's what the model came with. Or if you've got any of the older characters, the older characters that hold a banner, like a Blade Guard Ancient, a Terminator Ancient, a Sanguinary Ancient, I'd build him with a sword and put that old banner into his hand if you've got a firstborn banner kicking around. I know that's not an ideal solution, but that is a solution that probably has some weight in terms of being able to do fairly cheaply, because most people probably have an old banner kicking around, I would imagine. I was just thinking, like, the bike chaplain in the lag detachment, right? Like, if you add the bike chaplain to the lag detachment, I guess you could go you could go crazy, McPatson. What if we give our chaplain on the bike like Rage Fueled Warrior? If he asks, a spear is just a sword on a stick. There you go. That's the rhetoric. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, if you've got no way of converting them, like you've got none of those other old banners, then I guess I would just build it so one of them has the banner, and if he's got a spear, so be it. But generally you want them with swords. They are better with swords. Only AP1 in the Crozius, yeah. +1 to wound though, Rage Fueled wouldn't be the worst thing. You're not taking Rage Fueled elsewhere, right? Guess it depends if you're taking it elsewhere. It's just long-handed sword. I would like to make one of my Sanctuary Guard with spears as well, to be honest, because I always kind of thought it would be cool if they had spears. Like being that like Sanguinius had a spear, so I always kind of thought it would make like thematic sense if they had spears. So I think I'd be quite on board with just building one with the banner, with the spear, make him look like the leader of the squad. Oblivion, thank you so much for subscribing. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. That's the goal right now. So every new subscriber helps. I do appreciate it. If you guys get 2 seconds tonight and can hit the like button on the stream, it would be much appreciated as well. Does always really help my streams out, like spread to more people if YouTube thinks people like them. So anytime you're watching a stream or a video and you can press the like button, I do really appreciate it. So you've built 3 with swords, 3 with spears, Marius. How you running them? Just all swords? Rule of cool, I like it. I'm honestly kind of glad that this edition has killed WYSIWYG, because it was getting ridiculous how many times I built models and tried to put the right weapons on them, and then they changed the points cost, and then they changed the points cost again, and then they changed rules, and then it's a new edition, and it's like, oh my god. Like, it was basically a point with like Blood Angels where it was like, you need to magnetize every single model you ever make, or you're gonna regret it. So I'm glad that that's gone. So glad, I couldn't be happier. It wasn't something I particularly enjoyed. Like, I did it, like, but drilling out every single arm on every single model to give them a friggin' magnet in their joint to be able to change out their arms. Like, it wasn't that much fun, was it? Vasilius, hello, how you doing? Good evening. So as much as we all complain about them changing stuff, I am glad that they did it one too many times and they ruined WYSIWYG for everybody, and it's the best thing that's ever happened. Here's the thing, right? The last squad that I did is I did 20 Vanguard veterans. And I wanted them with storm shields, so I did like 10 of them with chainswords. I think I did a lightning claw for every model, and then I did a thunder hammer for let's say 5 or 10 of them. So I had the ability to like pop off chainswords and thunder hammers and lightning claws on this whole 20-man squad of Vanguard veterans. So I could almost run any option that I wanted. And I had to spend so much money doing that, right? Because I had to buy like 4 boxes of Vanguard veterans to get the 20. And then I needed like thunder hammers, and I needed lightning claws, and I feel like I needed something else. Oh, it was the storm shields. Yeah, you didn't get enough storm shields. I had to buy storm shields online and third-party bits and all this nonsense. I spent so much time and effort on that squad of Vanguard veterans just for them to basically come out and say, alright, Vanguard veterans have heirloom weapons. Like, oh my god, I just spent 6 months converting all my Vanguard veterans to... I'm magnetizing all the joints and painting multiple weapon options for every model, so every model could basically swap out a lightning claw for a chainsword or a thunder hammer, and for me that was where they say the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, I was already kind of getting a bit bored of, I guess, doing the magnetizing on everything, and it was just like, I've just done 20 guys and now all that work just needs thrown in the bin. So for me, that was it. I was like, yeah, I'm not investing any time in WYSIWYG anymore, because they're just gonna shit all over it. I'll just write down what it is. When I go to the tournament, I'll tell my opponent flat up what it is beforehand. Maybe I'd still be doing WYSIWYG in my naivety if they hadn't, like, killed that for me. Now we pay Mike to magnetize my models. I mean, that's different because it's doing whole separate models, isn't it? Mike's probably live on his channel right now magnetizing models and bitching about me, but hey, he put the cost of magnetizing on them on the quote, man. I think Mike liked seeing his models getting played with on my stream, so it's a win-win. Alright, I need to clean up these legs. They're messy as fuck. What about option... What are your opinions about 5 Vanguard Vets with Infernal Pistols is 110 points. 5 Jump Back Assault Intercessors is 90. So they get the same number of attacks. The Vanguard Veterans have 1 more strength. They have a Storm Shield. I mean, I guess Vanguard Veterans are not in the worst place. They killed WYSIWYG in the worst way. Free war gear has made list building boring. I do think that they've lost something with list building this edition, Andonius, because in previous editions, I could spend hours or evenings and evenings and evenings building lists, you know, like removing 1 pistol here, putting a hunter-killer missile on a tank or something, you know, all these little minor nuances to make the list. And now I make like a list in an hour and I'm done with it for 3 months or something, so I think there is something to be said about... I don't know if it's boring, but it's a hell of a lot simpler. But then, I was excited with list building for about 10 minutes. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said there where, like, list building has... I don't know if it should have taken so much time before. Like, I think, like, do I miss juggling all those points? I'm not sure I do, but am I nostalgic about how much more time I spent list building? Kind of, yes. So for me, it's a bit of a weird one. But I hear you. I just don't know if... I don't know if I've got the answer. I certainly don't think that I want to go back to spending evenings upon evenings removing 1 Infernal Pistol here and... But I do think there was probably some sort of middle ground there where there's a bit more flexibility. You know, I guess the flexibility has been lost, is like you can't have 1 unit do 2 things anymore. Because before, if you got to the end of your army list and you didn't have very many points left, you could be like, okay, I only have 90 points. So I could take a unit of Death Company, but I could just give them like chainswords or like really shitty, cheap weaponry. But they'd still be Death Company, they'd still do a threat, they'd still perform the Death Company role. They just wouldn't have the best weapon options, and I guess that's the thing that's been lost the most. You know, like, maybe all they need to do is have, like, a unit with default war gear. So every unit can have, like, a default war gear version, where it's like, this is the bare minimum war gear. They're kind of shit, but they're the unit. And then you've got the unit with the stacked war gear cost, where it's like, you just can take all the war gear that you like. And yeah, maybe that would be the solution, but, I don't know, I feel like they know that something needs to change, because I think the new MFM is the first time we've seen different points costs between the 5 and 10 man squads, right? So it's not like totally lost on Games Workshop that more variance and that stuff would be good. I just don't know if we're gonna get it in the form that we want to get it in. Characters are now the upgrade. I mean, I guess they really are. When everything's free, why even have options? Yeah, well, I guess that's my point, right? If we had, like, the default cheapo shitto versions, and then we had the expensive versions, and I don't think they would need to even do that for every squad. They would just need to do it for some squads, like the Death Company is a good example, right? Like, because quite often in the old game you used to run Death Company. If you got to the end of the list and you didn't have very many points left, you just run a unit of Death Company with, like, the cheapest of the cheap weapons on there. And they still blended infantry because they have a shitload of chainswords and they're still Death Company and they were super cheap, and it was a valid way of playing, and I guess that way is kind of lost now, right? Maximilian said, I started Kill Team a few years ago and then started 40k Army of Blood Angels, and it's pretty overwhelming. It is pretty overwhelming, and it, you know, like, people, like, I had a guy message me on not Discord, on Reddit, saying, like, he's going to his first GT and he's, like, worried about all this, and I was like, dude, it's your first GT, like, just chill, just go and you're not ever going to even finish top 5, probably, in your first GT. So I was trying to say to him, like, don't even focus on that. If you finish top 5, it's a huge bonus. Like, go to the GT with the intention of, like, having fun, of learning your army, you know, like, try not to forget too many of your rules, you know, making friends, that's another thing. I was actually speaking to Andrew about this from the Plastic Crackheads the other day, is like, one thing that gets harder later in life, I think, is making friends. Right? Like, it's just a hard thing to do. If you don't go to the bars, or if you don't maybe follow sports, like, I think maybe if you follow sports, you can make friends, you know, because, like, you can meet people at the bars and you can support the same football teams or something like that, or I get different sports in America, but probably the same thing, right? If you don't do those things, which not everybody does, then it can be quite hard to make friends as an adult male in their, like, 40s, right? Because that's where I am in my 40s. But I feel like I make friends in Warhammer, which is a really nice, positive part of Warhammer that doesn't really get talked about at all. Like, basically, every time I go to a GT, I make, like, 5 new friends. I try and pride myself on, like, you know, playing good but playing fair as well. And I think if you do that, you know, like, every time I come away from a GT, I used to be a smoker as well, so quite often, like, at the GTs, what will happen is there'll be, like, a posse of people that will go outside to smoke. I'll go out just for, like, some fresh air, because all the GT halls are all, well, I mean, like, we're all old, sweaty dudes, I guess, and we're all, like, crammed into, like, a small room to play Warhammer, and it gets hot and shit, especially if you go to GT in the summer. So I just go and stand in, like, the smoking area, even though I'm not smoking, and just talk to people. Maybe it's still, like, the passive smoke or something like that, I don't know. But I'll go and stand in, like, the smoking area and just talk to the people that are out there, and I feel like I just make friends from 40k, which is, like, something that's really hard to do as you're older, I guess. So yeah, while it is overwhelming to get started, it is also, like, a really good hobby to get into, I think. Yeah, one of my friends always used to say something to me about, like, chatting to the people that you know at work. He was like, you choose your friends, you don't choose your workmates. And I think it's very true in that, like, nothing against the people that I work with, but, like, you don't choose who you work with, but you do choose who your friends could be, right? Maybe he just said that because he was getting pissed off with people at his work. So yeah, if you're getting started, I recommend you go to tournaments, but I recommend you go to the tournaments with no expectations, right? You're just going to have fun, meet some people, make some friends. You know, lure them into false insecurity, let them beat you a couple of times and come back with a vengeance once you've learned a bit more about the game. That's the way to do it. That's my opinion. So true, I just started collecting Blood Angels again after 18 years and I'm trying to find a local group to play Warhammer with in Inverness. I can hook you up, man. I'm going to the Inverness tournament in January. There is a local group, there's a Discord. The guy Kenny, who I think is one of the top people in the local group out of Inverness, I just beat him to win a GT in the summer. He's a really sound guy. So there's definitely a good group in Inverness because I'm going to a GT in Inverness in January. I mean, if nothing else, you should just come along to the GT and see, you know, like, meet some people in the group, hang out. One sec, let me see if I can pull up their Facebook page. And you can drop them a like, or you can send a message to the group in Inverness. I'm not entirely sure where... I've never been to the tournament in Inverness yet. I only know about it because they came to the tournament that we ran in Elgin in the summer. Give me one sec. See if we can pull it up on Facebook. I've got their shop link, but that's not entirely what we want. Oh, I was spelling it wrong because it's not locked, it's loch. Oh, I didn't realise this. It's a Scottish word. We were talking about Scottish words earlier in the stream. Yeah, here we go. Let me share my screen a second. Loch and Loaded. Based out of Inverness Highlands, we have frequent gatherings. I'm actually surprised I've not liked this. Yeah, that's Kenny. He's been on the channel before, actually. So he's running a GT in January. Am I in this list? Yeah, there I am. Okay, so this is the GT that he's running in January. The event is sold out. Let me put this in the chat. Just because the event's sold out doesn't mean you can't come. Make some friends or see where they're playing out of, that sort of stuff. But yeah, it looks like, well, basically that event was sold out in basically like, I think the day it went on sale. So it is popular in Inverness. What do you think of running 2 Sangre Guard with Dante and the Fight First Captain? I think it's good. I guess the question is, if you're going to run 2 Sangre Guard squads, what has to give to do that, right? Like, you probably have to give up either some fire support, or you probably have to give up some death company. I don't think either of those 2 options are the worst idea in the world, like giving up some death company to run Sangre Guard. I mean, Sangre Guard are very good right now. So I think it's fine, no Mac? Like, I would do it. But yeah, I'd follow them on Facebook. I would get into their Discord, which there was a link in that Facebook page for. Introduce yourself and find out when they're playing. But they're very friendly. Tell them, if you tell them that I sent you, say that you found us, they'll like, Kenny knows me. Kenny was giving me he was giving me shit in the car park before the GT, and then I kicked his knight's ass. I actually think he made a couple of misplays, but I think he underestimated the company heroes. I was running those, and I think they're very good. I think they're a grossly underrated unit. Not many people have experienced playing against company heroes either. We're probably going to run a GT in Elgin again in the summer. I'm trying to think when we did it last year. I think it was... Maybe it was like the last week of term before the kids' school holidays. So it wasn't encroaching on like people's summer holidays with their kids. But we ran a 32-player GT here in Elgin in June last year, and it was the same deal. We sold it out in a day. Or maybe, I think we maybe sold 31 tickets on the first day. And then we sold the last ticket on day 2. And then, as always, as soon as you're sold out, you get a bunch of people like, is this still available? It was like, no. So I think we're going to do another 32-player. We're actually going to see if we can push it slightly higher. We'll have to find out if we can. Andrew's got a laser cutter now, so he's been laser cutting a bunch of terrain, so we might be able to go higher. We'll have to see. The list I want to run can fit 2 units of Sanguinary Guard along with Astrath and 10 Death Company, 3 Ballistuses, 1 Jump Pack, 3 Scouts, Mephiston. Seems solid. I think it's hard maybe to run quite so many big units, I guess is my one concern with that. Like, I guess the Sanguinary Guard is classed as like a big unit because what, it's like 400 points with Dante. The Death Company are still quite a big unit. It's a big footprint. It's quite expensive points wise. I mean, maybe it's okay. I do have a concern about running too many big units. Like, I do think that can be a little bit difficult or a little bit of a trap. Because, like, you never want to be doing actions with, like, a giant unit of 10 guys, right? Well, not just 10 guys, but also, like, an expensive unit. Like, you're never going to want to do an action with your 400-point Sanguinary Guard unit, right? It would just be wholly inefficient.
I have awoken.
Oh, Raffle, thank you so much for becoming a member. Do really appreciate it. I'm glad I could help you out. It's not often someone comes into the chat and is like, hey, I'm in Inverness, which is like freaking half an hour drive away from me. As they say, it's a small world, isn't it? Sometimes, anyway. Normally people come in looking for a local store and I can't help at all. So it feels good to be able to help. Thanks very much for becoming a member. I do appreciate it. Sorting out highlighting these guys is taking a while. It was bad enough edge highlighting the firstborn when they were smaller, now they're bigger. Evening, Krychek. How you doing? You having a good day? I've posted a list last Sunday, says Vasilius. There's been a lot of list submissions, Vasilius. Like, I want to say that there was like I don't think it was as many as 100, but there must have been 50. So I just had a bit of a backlog. I'm working through it. I'm hoping to get caught up pretty soon. I guess the new codex has meant everybody has got a new list that they want me to have a look over and review. If I haven't got to you yet, I'm sorry. I did do extra lists last week. I'm probably going to try and do extra lists again this week to try and get caught up. I know that there's some people that have been waiting a few weeks now. My channel was a lot smaller like when I first introduced the idea of looking at people's lists, you know, like I had 100 subscribers. So, like, I remember there was weeks where I actually had to ask. I was like, does anyone want their list looked at? Because, like, I don't have anyone for the show this Sunday, right? Like, I had to actually ask and, like beg people to give me a list to look at on my show. Whereas now it's kind of the opposite, where it's like, there's 18,000 subscribers and everybody's building new lists. So it's I understand that it's been frustrating for some people. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do some extra. I'm going to try and do some extra again tomorrow. I still enjoy looking at lists. I just don't know what I'm supposed to... I need like a Star Wars droid. Like a 3PO. That can just help me out. I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do when I get that many lists. It's tough at the top. Yeah, I wish I was at the top, Marius, but I appreciate the... I'm on the wash stage of my Sangregard. I love washing gold. So much fun watching it change and get shiny. What do you wash your gold with? What colour? I bet we wash with completely different colours for gold. I am going to have to do like 50 lists. How do we do a quick 5-man scout squad, says Mark. A lot of people like the scouts with the single sniper rifle and the single missile launcher. My experience of playing that combo a lot of the time was that it never did any damage. Like, I would have one sniper rifle shot. When I did inevitably hit with it, it didn't wound, or my opponent saved it, and then the one missile only hits on a 4, so most of the time it just didn't hit. So I gave up on the sniper rifle, missile launcher, scout squad, and just gave all my scouts combat knives. And just went like, if my scouts are going to do damage, they're going to be charging. I'm just going to hit you with extra attacks from the combat knives with my strength 6, because of my +2 to strength when I charge. And I prefer the scouts like that. But I fully understand that some people think that scouts should be armed with missile launchers and sniper rifles. But I prefer just the combat knives. I've had more success using the knives. Reichland Flesh over Retribution Armor says Sanguinary Barbecue. I'm lucky to have lots of pots of Reichland Flesh Gloss. What the hell is the Reichland Flesh Gloss? When they were discontinuing the old washes, I bought a crap load of Reichland Flesh. So, surprisingly, we actually wash gold with the same. That makes me feel good, Marius, because whenever I see your models on Twitter, they always look very well painted. Good to know that I'm copying you. Sorry, someone asked a question about the biologist. I missed it. Where was it? What's the background music? It's called White Bat Audio. It's a YouTube channel. He gives all his music away royalty free. White Bat Audio. Like the animal. What very generous. The guy's very generous. If he all he asks, there's a link actually to it in the description, because all he asks is that you link it in the description of your videos. So this is probably one of his synthwave mixes. I usually just rotate. He does some more dark atmospheric stuff, and he does some more aggressive stuff, but if we're just chilling, then it's probably one of the more synthwave mixes. I like music without words. I think it helps me concentrate. Evening, Rich T. How you doing? I mean, we did a GT last year, Ghetto Gunfighter, which was like the Blood Angels Commander GT. I mean, here's the problem: it's in Scotland. So I mean, if you're not in Scotland, you know, I guess that's the problem, right? It's not like a video game where you can have everybody playing online or whatever. I mean, we are going to do another Blood Angels Commander GT this year. Maybe over time it'll even build up and get bigger. We'll see, I guess. It was very popular last year. I did actually have someone come over from America for a tournament last year. He's sometimes in the live chat actually. His name is like Phil Araggio. I just know him as Phil because I've met him in real life now. But Phil, who's in the live chat sometimes, and sometimes does gifted subs and sometimes does super chats, he came over from America for a tournament. He really enjoyed it. He was actually asking if we're doing one again this year because he's keen to come again. I was going to say, that's determination, isn't it? What's up, Eluve? What's up, Chris? How you doing? Yeah, sorry, what's up with these shades? GW used to make a ton of glossy washes. They're all discontinued now. When did they stop making those? I use Reichland Flesh Shade for my my wash step over Retributor Armor, but I've never seen a gloss. Alright, we're coming up to almost 3 hours live. I'm going to probably call the stream in the next 10 minutes or so. It's getting late. Usually what happens in my streams is I find myself talking less and less when it gets late, so at some point it will get unengaging because I'll be tired. So it's good for me to stop it before that happens. So 10 minutes or so.
I have awoken.
Sanguinary Barbecue, thank you very much for becoming a member. I do really appreciate it. Everyone that just became a member tonight, because there was a bunch of you. I'm up in 21 days to go apparently in November, and we've already almost hit the November goal. That's awesome, thank you so much. I actually increased my goal from 5 members a month. No, it was 9 members a month, like the 9th Legion. We've made it 15 members now. We're almost there with 21 days to go. Sick. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, everyone that became a member, you get access to our members only Discord room. You can type !Discord, or you can find the link in the video description. But please do come over to the members only Discord room. You are very welcome. I do really appreciate it. If you're coming to LVO, I do want to go to LVO one year. I think it would probably cost me somewhere in the region of maybe like £3,000 or £4,000 to go to LVO. Because I think the flights to America from where I am are probably like 1,500 to 2,000, and then I assume I need hotel, travel, food for like 5 days. So if that's like another 1,000, I think it might be able to do it for less than like 3,000, but I'd assumed maybe it would be like 3.5, 4. But no, I would love to go to LVO one day. If I was going all the way to Vegas, I would really love it if, like, well, one of my favourite YouTube channels, Tabletop Titans, I believe, play out of Vegas, don't they? They sometimes have Blood Angels on there. They've commented about me before, so I was going all the way there. I'd want to see if I could wangle a game on Tabletop Titans. That would be sick. I don't know if I can, but hey, I'm gonna keep growing. Maybe we'll get to LVO one year. That would be nice. I've been invited. I've got a channel member that has invited me to crash for a tournament in Chicago, so I could do a tournament in Chicago, maybe a little bit cheaper. Yeah, I really like Tabletop Titans. I think their streams are fun. Plus, Tabletop Titans kind of have the same philosophy as me sometimes. I feel like they sometimes build lists because it's what they like to play, as opposed to it's like the super meta pick that everybody has to pick. And I think there's something to be said about that, because I get there's a meta. I know that sometimes like people on YouTube just want to watch the meta armies play. I get that. But I think there is something to be said for like just trying to have fun too. Like if I have to choose between fun and meta, I probably actually do choose fun most of the time. What's the biggest battle report channel on YouTube? It's a good question. If you're just doing raw subscribers, it probably is. I was going to say, is it Tabletop Titans or Tabletop Tactics? Look, there you go. Someone else from chat's coming to LVO. That's cool. You guys should hook up. Get a beer. Blood Angels Brothers. We need like a post in Discord for all the Blood Angels players that are going to LVO. They can meet up and get a beer.
I have awoken.
Crispy delicious. Thank you so much for coming to Battle Brother for 22 months. Do appreciate it, dude. And some length of service. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Kind of boggles my mind sometimes when these crazy membership numbers come up and I'm thinking to myself, have I been doing this many years? Oh, getting tired. Where the frick is my Mechanicus Standard Grey? That's what I want. My 2 suppressor squads have arrived. Give them a run this week and see if they're worth it. Yeah, you totally should, Scott. Who am I playing this week? I think I'm playing Colin again this week. I think I've got a game against Miles towards the end of the month. Miles is moving to Dark Angels. So he's selling his Eldar. I'm thinking I'm going to try and bid on his Eldar. I don't know to what end, but it gives us another option for battle reports. People can play Eldar against me. Do you know what, if I buy the Eldar, I can give the Eldar as a first army to my kid. Never even thought of that until this moment right now. But yeah, I sometimes feel like we're lacking different armies to play against on my battle reports. So that's why one of the reasons I was like, if he's going to sell his Eldar, I might see if I can buy it. As a punishment? Yeah, I mean, Filthy Xenos, yeah. Colin is good value for money. Yeah, Colin's a legend. He comes on my channel all the time. He never asks for nothing. He's just a very genuine guy. I love the banter that we have for Colin. I've known Colin like 25 or more years. So I feel like our banter is always really good as well, which is fun. Am I doing bat reps every 2 weeks now? Yeah, I just think for the moment I'm doing them every second week while I get caught up on like painting the new Blood Angels. I don't get a lot of time on regular weeks to paint. I just don't. Because my normal week looks like Monday night making a Blood Angels tactics video, Tuesday night editing or still filming that tactics video, Wednesday night playing, Thursday night podcast. So Friday night is the only night of the week I don't work, essentially. And I'm not really willing to give up Friday night because it's only week of the work. It's only night of the week that I don't work because I'm here Saturday night and I'm here Sunday night as well. Yeah. So if I've got a lot of painting to do, which I do because I guess the legends all my models, right? So well, we film the 3 grots every second Thursday. Don't tell me you don't know about my podcast, Marius. I think the only battle reps I watch from start to finish because of good opponents and it's competitive Blood Angels. I appreciate that, man. I was going to say, there is some other channels that do that. I feel like Vanguard Tactics does a pretty good job of competitive Blood Angels games. Obviously, they don't do every... They maybe don't do Blood Angels as often as I do them, but I do think they do somewhat of a good job for competitive Blood Angels. Oh, well, we don't... Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't always film every week for the grots. It used to be... It started every second week, but then it... Yeah, it's a bit random. Sometimes we do multiple weeks in a row, and then sometimes we do take a break. So yeah, based on that, based on the fact that I've got... Because of the Legends everything, I've got so much more painting to do for the near future. I think I've been doing it for like a month or 2 months now, where I'm just doing a battle every second week. Also, because I don't physically pay my opponents to play me. Maybe some of the bigger channels do. Sometimes it's quite hard for me to get an opponent every week. So I think doing every second week just takes some of the stress off of it as well for me, and it's fine. I need to get shit painted anyway. And then it also helps my wife because I'm here at home, and when the kids are being a disaster, I'm here at home as well. So for the foreseeable future, I guess every second week is now live battle report. Speaking of, I just actually heard my wife come upstairs, which means one of my kids is up, so I will go do the good husband thing. I said I was ending the stream about now anyway. So thanks everybody that subscribed, thanks everyone that came a gifted member, all that good stuff. I do really appreciate it. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you did enjoy tonight's stream, the like button would appreciate a click. I'll be back tomorrow night, 8 PM UK time, to look at Blood Angels army lists submitted by the community. We do that every Sunday night, around 8 PM UK time. Sometimes I run like 10 minutes late on a Sunday. It's because it's bath night for my kids, so if they are being a little difficult, I could be running a few minutes late, but I will be here. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night about 8 PM for some army shows. Have a great evening. Thanks so much for hanging out. I do appreciate it. Edge highlighting, eh? Who invented that? Which idiot invented that? Thanks for watching.